RPN is not responsible for the views, actions, or opinions of its guests or advertisers, and any appearance on RPN is not to be considered an endorsement. Information contained herein is also not to be construed as medical or legal advice, and the viewers of this program are encouraged to do their own research. Good evening, everyone. You are listening to Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector, and this is your Red Pill News. Hope that everyone's having a lovely evening. We've got quite the show lined up for you guys tonight. My good friend, former FBI agent John DeSouza is in the house. You can bet we're going to be talking about all kinds of interesting things. Please make sure you get your questions and comments ready for Mr. DeSouza. I want to say thank you to all of the Patriots who are here waiting for the show to begin. Hello to all the Patriots from across the globe. I saw at least one person from Michigan, and I know we've got somebody from the UK. Hello, Denise. Hello to all of my mods who are here, ready and waiting. And thank you to all of the subscribers to this channel. Before we begin, please do think about liking and sharing this broadcast, helping us get the word out, you guys. Nickelback is the worst band ever, Dana Finkler. That's correct. You guys, we are going to be talking about so much cool stuff tonight. Maybe some things that people are scared about, but I think that the whole point of this conversation is to maybe quell that fear a little bit, you know? Be prepared. Trust but verify. It's not always as bad as the mainstream media tells us it is. Hello from Arizona, California, West Virginia, Montana, Michigan, North Carolina, Missouri, Ohio, Minnesota, Arizona. We'll be right back, guys, after a brief word from my sponsor. Our sponsor. When emergencies strike, there's always news stories about long lines of people and empty store shelves. Well, there's no need to be part of that chaos and the possibility of having to deal with FEMA food lines. Those that know what's coming are using today to prepare. You should make a plan too, and you can start by building an emergency food supply. I trust and use My Patriot Supply, and you can too. They're the experts in emergency preparedness and have guaranteed 2-day delivery. Disasters won't wait, and neither should you. This week, you can save $70 on a 2-week emergency food kit when you go to my special website, preparewithredpill78.com. My Patriot Supply food kits last up to 25 years in storage and include breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. Order today and receive guaranteed 2-day delivery discreetly to your door. Take action so you're ready for what's coming and save $70. Those that know what's coming are preparing, and you can go to preparewithredpill78.com and get yours today. Once again, that's www.preparewithredpill78.com. And remember, when you support my sponsors, you support this channel.
I was watching
All right, guys, sorry about that. My dogs are going crazy. Somebody just showed up. Just wanted to say thank you to everybody. Please do like and share this broadcast. Help us get the word out. It is so vitally important. I don't know what Muffin is onto, but maybe there is some prowler out in the front lawn or something like that. Well, without further ado, let's just get into it. I'm going to welcome my good friend John DeSouza to the program. John, how are you, buddy?
I am doing great. Red Pill 78. The Corruption Detector. It is great to be back here with you and with your brilliant audience. I love being on here and discussing all these vital topics with you. It's good stuff. And I'm so happy that the dogs are excited. We're excited. Everybody's excited. It's good stuff.
Muffin! Muffin, stop it! I don't know what she's going on. Oh, my goodness. Okay. Yes, John, all of that and more, man. It's always a pleasure to have you here. We always have such great conversations, and there is no shortage of things to discuss right now in the world. For anybody maybe who's here for the first time, who didn't see you before, tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a former FBI agent, and you've had a very interesting history.
Yes, I'm John DeSouza. I am I was an FBI special agent for 25 years. Jeez, that's a long time. And I was working mostly counterterrorism cases, big counterterrorism cases, and even paranormal cases as well. There's places where people can go and look and see what some of those paranormal cases were, and it's something that I've been doing. But it's also led me to really develop these techniques for discovering truth and investigative techniques to find what's really going on, even in the regular world that we live in every day. And so that's what I try to teach people and show people everywhere I go.
Awesome. And you've got several books that you've written, and we have to mention that the X-Files was largely based on your work at the FBI, working on these paranormal cases, which is a whole story in and of itself. But tell us about your books. I mean, I want people to know about that because we do have a link in the description below.
Yeah, I have my books. The most important, well, it depends on who you are, but my first book, The Para Investigators, is basically, that's the one that shows people how to use the investigative techniques to find out what's really going on, because we are currently living in a society that is almost 100% deception, deception and deceit from many areas, and that basically covers our entire existence. And so those techniques are so important to get out to people and to tell people what really is happening. That's what it's all about.
Well, also, I think it's important because these advanced techniques of deception are certainly in play by the deep state, by the cabal, the black hats, whatever you want to call them. Any means or method that they can use to get around, the consciousness of the American public or, the global public, they're going to go ahead and use it. And, it doesn't matter what the ethical nature of those, techniques are, they're going to go ahead and do it. So I think that anything that gives, us as researchers or, law enforcement, the ability to have maybe a one-up on whatever it is they're doing, that's pretty important.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, well, let's talk about what's happening in the world right now. The last couple months, we've kind of seen this ramp up of coverage. We'll call it the Wu flu. The Wu flu. So started in China. Now here we are, and it's hit the shores of America. President Trump seems to be very calm about the whole thing. I would say from my sources within the U.S. government, there's a reason to be calm about it. It's not the global civilization ender that maybe the mainstream media has made it out to be. I mean, what have you heard from your sources?
From my sources with the Wu flu, as soon as this was being ramped up and being prepared to be rolled out, they were telling me, well, some of my sources were telling me, wow, this is the depopulation factor that's finally being released. It's going to be really huge. It's going to kill, like Bill Gates, the old Bill Gates story. This is going to kill millions. It's going to be terrible. We're gonna see. But then I had other sources that came to me and said that this was not an attack on the Chinese population at all. This was not some sort of virus to kill a lot of people. And we see that it's not.
Right.
It's not killing a lot of people. As a matter of fact, it appears to only be killing Asians. That's what it looks like.
Right.
And people, they won't release the Asian connection on this. They won't release the numbers on racial breakdown of actual deaths, not transmission, but deaths.
Right.
It appears to be more Harvard, with the scientists at Harvard who were arrested,
yes,
and who had biological material that was confiscated and taken into, and we haven't heard another word about that.
No. I don't think that we're going to hear another word about it. I mean,
Exactly.
that's the kind of thing that I think is going to be kept under wraps. I was very surprised at all that even was reported. I think that maybe the only reason that it was given the high profile nature of who it was. This doctor, the scientist at Harvard, who incidentally, I know someone who actually was working with that scientist, had no idea what was going on, knew that they were liaisoning with the Chinese exchange scientists that were coming from over there, and they would not interact with people, but this group of people worked together, and it all turns out that they were all part of the same group that was giving this material and this technology to China, and then set up that weapons lab over there.
Right.
Hold on a second. What is Joe? What do I get, Joe? You get that? I didn't get it. Somebody tell me what he's talking about. What do you think is the end game here, then? If it's not depopulation, if it's not to harm humanity in general, what is the end game?
It appears that this whole coronavirus thing was an attack on the world economy and the American economy in order to stop the White Hat Alliance from moving forward with their rolling over of the cabal and everything that they've done. It appears it was not directed against really harming people at all. It was actually, and that was just a secondary benefit that they got from it.
Right.
The real target of the coronavirus, of this, I'm sorry.
Wu flu.
Wu flu. The real target appears to have been the economy, both the world economy and specifically the American economy. That's what it looks like. And it's having that, and it's being very successful. But I will tell people that circumstantial evidence is real evidence of a proposition. When you see this lab and these doctors who were arrested and were dealing with viral material, and their stuff is taken, and even though it appears to have no declared connection to this whole thing, circumstantial evidence is real evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I'll tell you another thing: absence of evidence is actually evidence. It really is. So when you see Trump really not really getting worked up over this at all, mm-hmm. and saying things like, this will pass soon, this will pass, that is evidence of something that he knows that we don't know. So all of these things actually work into this. And it appears, and when you see all the worldwide media and the Democrats all with the preloaded script already ready to go, saying, oh, this is terrible, and whipping up hysteria with the same script, whipping up hysteria and trying to get the fear factor up further and further and further. And you see them all just like this, just all talking from the same talking points. Then that tells you, oh, okay, they already are in on this plan. They've got this, and something coordinated is going on here, where they're not trying to kill the Asian people. They're trying to create fear and panic. That's what they're trying to do. And it's been very successful. So,
I would say, yeah, it's definitely working. But I speculated early on that this, one of the possible goals was the disruption of the supply chain, which would, in fact, disrupt the U.S. economy. Or, it might have been a way to get these American companies out of China so that we would have to restructure the supply chain. But
right.
I think it's more likely that it was done as a means to harm us.
And can I tell people, as of today in China, the Apple factories are getting right back into production, and all the major international factories in China are getting back into operation.
All right.
That information was just dropped today.
Good stuff. That's actually good news. I need to say thank you to Awake in West Virginia. Thank you also to Dana Finkler. Again, Nickelback is the worst band ever. And then I Love John, round 2 of the questions. You'll be able to ask them in the second hour. And then Concrete Watershed, thanks for the super chat. Someone in the chat said for me to ask you about Justin Deschamps. Do you know who that is?
Yes, he's a person who gives information on these presentations, and he travels all around the world, and he's got a very nice beard.
Okay. I thought maybe it had something specifically to do with the subject we were talking about, but all right. So, now that we're here, have you heard anything else about, what this might be about, or what future plans might be in terms of, because I mean, if it gets if it meets us on the shores of America here, and then we go through the process of some people getting it, people getting treated, it goes away. What then? I mean, because this can't go on forever. I can't imagine that it could go on forever.
All right. Well, on that, I've got some rough information for some people, and it's raw data. So, I mean, it's just what I'm hearing from my sources. But think about this. This part is incontestable. The cabal has tried so many operations against Trump and the alliance. They've done this Russia thing for 3 years. They've tried other things. They tried so many other scandals. Nothing has worked. Nothing has worked to reduce Trump's popularity, even a little bit. Nothing. They had been frustrated at every turn. This release of this bioweapon has been the first thing that has had any success in putting him back on his heels and maybe disrupting his popularity a little bit, and disrupting his number one asset, the economy.
The stock market. Yeah.
The incredible economy that Trump has been able to. So here's the rough information I have for people today, is that this thing is probably going to fizzle out by next month. It's probably going to fizzle out and be done. However, the cabal has had so much success with it. It's been the first jab that has gotten through the defenses of Donald Trump. So they are going to be doing more of these operations, more of these releases of these bioweapons, these viruses that are going on. And I heard that the next one is going to be directed against India, and people of Indian American extraction.
Right.
That it will be directed against them. Somehow these viruses, these bioweapons attach better to a single racial group or ethnic group, and they work better from that vantage point. And then they can still spread beyond that racial group, but they spread in a less lethal manner. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
So that's also one of the reasons that the Indian Prime Minister was so happy to see Trump, because Trump was bringing him information about, and Trump even said he was bringing information about the Wu flu and any possible future permutations of the Wu flu. And that's another reason why the Indian Prime Minister was climbing him like a tree. It was crazy.
Looks like a little boy holding on to his dad.
Yeah. And he made that reception for him where Trump was received, and I think he spoke to more people than any other human being ever has in a single venue.
Wow.
129,000.
Wow.
1,000 people in a single stadium.
That's a lot of people.
I mean,
they really did roll out the red carpet for President Trump. I mean, it was pretty incredible. I mean, they played Macho Man.
Yeah,
they absolutely love him over there. I mean, maybe even more than we love it. We love him over here.
Exactly.
So I guess the big takeaway here is that I want to make sure that everybody here is not freaking out, thinking that we have reached the end game. That's not what this is. It is a sickness, okay? And, Rush Limbaugh said this is the common cold. And in a manner of speaking, I think he's absolutely correct. Right. If you look at the rates of expiration, shall we say, it is far less deadly than the average flu that we get every single year. You get many, many more people who are getting sick. This just appears to, hang around maybe a little bit longer or, reinfect people, but it doesn't take you out in the same way.
Right. You're far more likely to die if you say something negative about Hillary in public.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very true. Azure Sky says, "Hi, John. You're my favorite guest. Loved my QFam." Thank you, Azure Sky. Appreciate that. Hold on just a second. I actually had to restart my browser, so let me delete that window, and then we get the other one up here. Okay, there we go. So, I was very surprised, actually, to look at the rates of transmission and see how low it was in India. I mean, we're up over 60 cases now here in the United States, like basically all of them on the West Coast. And it's probably, yes, Proud Patriot says, comfy here, prepped a long time ago. That's great. That's good news. I would be remiss without mentioning that my sponsor, Patriot Foods, they have a they have a bit of a delay now. I mean, they had guaranteed 2-day shipping when I recorded that commercial, but then over the course of this month, things slowed down because they had so many orders. People are starting to prep now rather than having prepped previously. Social Observer says it's fair to say the CDC and the WHO can't be trusted. I would say that definitely the WHO. I don't know about the CDC. Social Observer. We may have more information from the CDC at some point in the future, but I would say that the WHO cannot be trusted. I mean, because they're funded with global currency. I mean, like China is a fairly large funder of that agency, isn't it?
Yeah, I think those organizations are completely politicized as well, and I wouldn't trust anything that they're doing. I think they are easily manipulated by the globalists, by the cabal, and I wouldn't trust anything that they're doing unless Trump has his people basically doing it.
Lady Warren makes a really interesting comment. She says lots of Asians in the Upper West Coast. That is very true. I haven't seen any, racial breakdowns of, the people who are infected. But that would be interesting to know. That's my point.
They won't show it.
No.
They won't show that because what I'm saying is true about it binding to Asians in a more deadly way than it would to anyone else in the population.
I think, also the besides the evidence we've already talked about, but the fact that we've had an outbreak now inside of a nursing home. My girlfriend was telling me a little bit about the practices at a nursing home. I mean, you can't just walk into a nursing home, so there's not going to be casual contact with people coming in, that would be more likely to be infected. And older people seem to be, more easily affected by it in the same way that kind of Asians are. Barbara Havens, thanks for the super chat. But so she said it was very interesting, find out who the medical director is and who the resident doctor is, because they're going to be really the only ones who are coming and going besides like the nursing staff. But, so I mean, I would think it would be kind of easy. I don't know. I've never done an investigation like that, but it seems like the CDC and the federal government, what other agencies would be involved in that to take a look at something like that? Would it just be the CDC, or would they call in other law enforcement agencies?
I'm sure there's many that could be involved in that at that point. I can tell you from my own experience, the FBI has an entire division that is all hazardous materials, hazmat type of stuff, biological materials, assistance, and so they work on that all the time. And they work this. There's been some really good research that just went around that says that it looks like biological agents like this are released, it looks like every election cycle, like every 4 to 8 years.
Right.
And people have been putting out these charts, I think on Twitter, that shows exactly like Ebola happened, I think 8 years ago, something like it's either at the 4-year mark or the 8-year mark. And then before that, it was Zika. There was Zika virus. And then there was something.
The bird flu.
Yeah. So there appears to be some kind of an electoral pattern to the release of these biological agents. But what I'm telling people is that now, because this one has been so successful in what they're doing and trying to stir up fear and hurting our economy, they're going to start doing these more often. It's not going to be every 4 years. Yeah. It's going to be probably more like every 4 months.
Wow.
So that's what we have to look for.
To keep people.
So that's why it's good, Patriot supply and people who are preparing for this sort of thing, because they're going to get worse after this.
I mean, I always say I don't want people to be freaked out. I don't want you to be paralyzed with fear. But I mean, like, I'm ready, just in case something does happen. CUATDSNY says, "Hi guys, we've been prepping for a few years. Got a couple of months worth of food and supplies. I'm an ORRN in an NYC suburb. Praying for the best, Corinne." Thank you, Corinne. Appreciate that. I've heard that there's some food shortages in New York City already. Maybe it was just New York State, but 27 Sparkle, thank you for that. Prep, don't panic, and pray. That's right. Holotech R&D, tell John it's designed to take out the negative reptilians. That's from Smarty.
Oh, nice. Good. Smarty would know.
Yeah. Dana says, "I'm calling in tonight. Please answer my call." Dana, as long as you're in line, buddy, I'm sure I will be answering your call. What was I going to say?
And when Ebola happened, I'm not sure, was Ebola 4 years ago or was that 8 years ago?
I feel like there's been like a recycling of Ebola.
Yeah.
I remember Ebola like 20 years ago, maybe further back.
I think it was 8 years then. But when Ebola, they were really trying to spread Ebola.
Yeah.
Or it was a strain of Ebola, and they were having some success, but it just never took off the way they wanted, that the cabal wanted to make it happen. And so they just went back to the drawing board, and they just decided that they needed something less lethal but more spreadable. Yeah, and so
more virulent.
That's what they did with this. And,
this is an interesting point that I was going to make. A Pool says Code Monkey has an article posted saying the one in Tokyo has a different genome than in other areas of Japan. So I guess that means that the one in Tokyo is a different strain of the virus. And I'm actually going to see if I can pull that up over here. I'll go to Ron's.
It could be a separate release from this whole thing.
Well, I mean, it immediately brought to mind the idea that you said that they were going to go for a different release of something else. Maybe instead of doing it every 4 months, they just do it every 2 months, because then people are just starting to kind of get into the swing of things, and then they put out something new, and then it takes another 2 months for that to ramp up.
Right.
Let me see. Code Monkey. Okay, there we are. Ron.
That's awful, because I'm supposed to visit all these places. This is
I'm not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. Okay, so let's take a look at this, guys. Ron says a Japanese biodata team has discovered that SARS-CoV-2, as seen in Tokyo, is different than what is seen in Kyoto or Nagoya. So, this is some fairly technical information, and this is like genomic information over here, it looks like. So they've got several different types of COVs, Wu-flus, we'll say, and they are all different, but that's very interesting. So I guess the next question is, how different are they? Is it like just slightly different than the one that we're seeing right now? I mean, if it is structured very similarly, but also just as orderly, it very well could be another man-made virus that's been put out there trying to, scare people even more. But I guess it'll be interesting to see what happens in India and what happens in the rest of the world. What do you think about Korea? Is that just because they're so genetically similar to China? I mean, or
I do.
Is it coming? Do you think it's coming in like from North Korea and then streaming over? Or I mean,
I think so.
Yeah,
I think so. Most likely, I think all the Asian groups are going to be implicated in the receptibility of this virus, and I think they're going to have a particular susceptibility. That's the word I was looking for. Susceptibility to this, unfortunately, and that's terrible, because these groups, these Asian people, are in every country. They're in every country. So you could possibly get the deadly infections in every country.
Right.
So that's what we're facing.
Well, it's also very scary that all of the cases that we have in, every state on the West Coast we now have cases of locally infected people who, didn't travel, who were not, around anybody who had traveled, and by all rights, shouldn't have gotten it. And especially with that that nursing home. That really does, make it look like it's being injected into those areas, you might say. But, again, it's just going to get people sick. So Peapod says that Asians and Native Americans have similar DNA. I've heard that before. Yeah. What about Iranians? How similar is the DNA of Chinese and Iranians, or Asians and Iranians? Do you know anything about that?
I don't know too much about that. I mean, I've heard that there is some structural similarities with the genomes with Persian people, and that could be there. But I also know that there is an Asian population in Iran as well, and that is present. That's present there, and that could be part of the reason that the Iranians are getting this transmissions at this time.
Okay, all right. We have to talk about Italy because the Pope was just confirmed today to have been infected with the coronavirus. I mean, what do you think about that?
I still haven't seen the corroboration that it was definitely coronavirus, because I can't believe the Pope's office would give out that information to anyone. But I'll tell you, if you really want to know what I think they may the cabal may have tried to infect him, to try to kill him, and to try to get worldwide hysteria ginned up even more over this. Mm-hmm. However, I don't think he's going to die from this. I don't think he is. I think if he does have it, he will get sick, but he will recover. Yeah, he will recover, and it will. And that's just the way it's going to go down. And he's not going to die.
You have to imagine that the Vatican has unlimited sums of money and probably the best medical care that you can hope for. Thank you to Cynthia Allen. And then Holotech R&D says, that proves my point is designed to take out all negative reptilians, consumed their evil vibration. All top people around the world. The Pope, boom, these beings are sick. They are finished. Love energy. That's right. And looks like my mom's here. How you doing, Mom? Glad you're visiting. I forgot. Social Observer says, I stocked up on MMS to avoid hospitals if possible. There's a lot of negative press about MMS, but it is, I believe
Is that a vaccine?
No, it's like it's like chlorine dioxide or something like that. I mean, it's used. You can use it. I believe it kills malaria. I've read papers on it, like scientific white papers, and then it works as a disinfectant or something like that. If you're in like a hospital, and I guess that if it evaporates into the air, then it kills viruses on the surface of things. Michael says
because I want to just warn people on that tip that the pharmaceuticals are going to come to the supposed rescue on this, and they're going to have the vaccine for corona for Wu flu very soon. It's going to be out there, and they're going to want people to give up the arm. Yep. The arm, put that arm out there so you can get your vaccine. And I won't be getting it. No. I think people should consult someone wise before they expose themselves to that sort of thing.
I'm definitely going to not get that in the future. Hold on. Can you talk about actual evidence presented? Personally, I've seen none, no medical reports, no autopsy reports, just a lot of hearsay. The only video that tries to present info is vague. I saw it on Twitter. I don't have any evidence, and that's why I was bringing it up, because I was hoping that maybe...
the Pope? Is that what they're saying?
I think Carl's talking about the Pope. Okay. But yes, I just want to be very clear. If I'm not showing you sauce, you guys, it's conjecture, or it's, it should be considered as a rumor, because I don't have the ability to prove it. So we're talking about it now so that we can all kind of come together and, maybe share some information. But yeah, I don't have any information on that. And yes, you're welcome, Carl. Thanks for understanding, everybody. Yeah, somebody says no jabs. Sarah Lover says no jabs for me. Social Observer says this is all a test for the real rollout of the bioweapon. These people practice dark arts, and their symbolism and timelines will be their downfall. I can see that happening. I mean, like this is a test research case. They just want to see how people are going to react, get it out there, maybe what kind of response we're going to have from it.
How high the fear factor they can get, or how high they can achieve. and see how much they can spread it and get the fear going and get the economy damaged. And then they're going to go back to the drawing board, and they're going to build up something better, something maybe with the lethality of the Ebola virus, but with the spreadability of the Wu flu. And so they're gonna be working on this, and they're gonna be releasing this stuff.
I do have a question from Michael. He says, Project Bluebeam, can you shed any light on that for the public without incriminating yourself or going against your security oath? Do you have any firsthand information about Project Bluebeam, or can you speak about it from a position as a researcher?
Well, the only thing what I would tell people about that is Bluebeam technology. Go and look at the videos of what happened on 9/11. Go look at what occurred, and you'll see some Bluebeam technology right there before your eyes. And it's next level. It is apparently hologram technology with solidity. If you can imagine that, which it's hard to imagine, that's beyond our comprehension. But that's the best Bluebeam technology you can go see anytime you want to.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. But Juliet's thought says, I'm trying to super chat, but I'm doing it wrong. Juliet, you should just hit the dollar sign, and then you type it in, and then you slide the slider to whatever dollar amount you want, and then hit send. If you haven't connected your PayPal or your debit card, then it's going to ask you to go through that. AK Selective says, I has virus. Good luck, good luck, Corona-chan. Oh, that's great. Chris Hawkins says, I'm stocked up with DSBS, so if we reset, anyone going through withdrawal can get a fix because you know I care. You think I got the corner market. I don't know what... Are you saying that you are... I don't quite know.
You're the best interpreter ever. You can figure that out.
Chris, you're going to have to call in later and tell us exactly what you mean. And then Dana Finkler
That's a good point. Rod Rose's sister runs CDC.
That's right. Yes.
Rod Rosenstein's sister runs CDC, which is amazing. And it's not like Trump didn't know that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So he obviously wants her there. The maestro wants her there.
Yeah.
And he's probably doing the old intelligence collection on his enemies that he wants to see, so that he can, because at one point he's going to reveal all these things. He's going to reveal all of these bad actors and the things that they've done. And so, but right now he's still in the phase of just quiet, leaving them in place. A lot of them. Some of them have been removed, but a lot of them are just left in place, and he's just collecting that intel on them that's going to be legalized and be able to be used against them at some point. And that's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing with Rod Rose's sister.
I agree. You know, I will say that I actually was speaking to somebody who was on a conference call with the CDC in regards to this very issue, and they said that the reporting on her response to this was a little disingenuous, maybe overhyping the way that she was reacting to it, because the impression that I got from this individual was that it wasn't all about hysteria. She wasn't sounding this huge alarm like it was being stated, but it's possible that in speaking to government officials, she's saying one thing, and then if she's giving a statement to the press, maybe she's saying something else. But Tracy Comer says that it got the Chinese protesters off the street. It certainly did. Now, immediately, there was the same types of protests taking place in Iran, and I bet you that they are no longer taking place either. What about Italy? I'm sure that there must have been some people upset about, migrants coming to Italy. I've heard that in recent months. Somebody also sent me some video footage, and I'm sorry, I forgot your name, and I know that I've got a video in my email. Maybe I'll try to find it while we're talking here. But there is a tremendous influx of migrants into Greece right now as well, and there's, I guess it must be the Greece and Turkey border, and I don't know. I'd have to look at a map. Sorry, my geography is not as good as it used to be, but there is, one border in Greece that is overrun with migrants, and it's kind of pushing out the citizens of Greece. And there was some footage which was these people just living in this encampment and like setting fires, dumping trash everywhere. So another thing that I had heard was that they were looking to inject this into homeless populations so that they could spread it faster, and so that it would cause more panic. And it would also work if they were, bringing in migrants in the same way that they tried with Ebola on the southern border. Somebody in the chat had said that 2014 was the last official Ebola outbreak, but I mean, we've heard about it in the last couple of months. Paris will be next, Honest Content says. That actually is a great point. So if we see it in Paris next, then that would really be a big clue, because I mean, that is all of the major centers where demonstrations have been going on. I'm actually surprised that we haven't heard about it hitting Paris already, because the Yellow Vests have been ongoing for, I don't even know how long. It's been a very long time. It's been well over a year, I would imagine. Let me see.
Yeah, I think White Hat's in there.
White Hat's in the chat? Yeah, he should be. White Hat, are you here, buddy?
One of the things that I heard also is that national governments will use these infectious things to their advantage. I heard that in China, if they have protests breaking out, they will declare, during a time like now, they will declare an entire group of protesters to be an infectious risk and will round them up and take them. And in China, when you get taken in those white vans, they know what that means. That means you are at very high risk of being taken to a factory where they remove the old organs.
Yes. Now I know that Ben and Rob,
and they know that. Ben
and Rob at Edge of Wonder were reporting that that people were being taken and they were just immediately being executed. They're not putting them into I guess hospitals or anything like that, or even quarantine centers. People are being harvested, basically.
I believe it.
Yeah. Okay. So, Mary Poff, thank you for that super chat, and Kim Castile sent you an IM on Twitter about the virus. Let's go ahead and take a live look at this bit of intelligence from the board. Let's look at that. What if they had a DNA database of undesirables set up for targeting, and a virus was programmed to go after these people, us? Could White Hats have built a database with their DNA and reprogram the virus to go after them? Didn't someone claim that Barry had a secret database of everyone? How many times did he go to China? Where did this DNA database come from? We know that they have developed technology to read minds through your devices, looking at your Facebook. But could they also read your DNA information? The propaganda out of China, the fear-mongering from the lefties, all to incite emotions within us. For what purpose? They want us to solve their problems for them or to take us down with them. Either way, their global infrastructure is being dismantled by the very weapons turned against us. When justice comes for them, they will have nowhere to run. This is as much as we can offer to them for old time's sakes. Gesundheit. QR. The other thing that I was thinking about, the incident with the Pope, if it turns out that he actually does have the virus, and I will say this, I think that if he doesn't, I find it highly unlikely that he doesn't have it. I mean, he just went through, having mass and, laying hands on a bunch of sick people and, was immediately coughing and sneezing. So either he's got it as a result of that, or 67 weeks for the Yellow Vest. Thank you very much, Jack Konopsky, yes, sorry. Or he's pretending to have it, or they've given it to him. They want to take him out because let's say that it was a head fake. He's pretending to have it so then he can just disappear silently into the night and maybe go live down in Argentina or something like that, like all of the Germans did after World War II, with the help of the Catholics, I think. And then Elizabeth Coles says, pray for China. Yes, definitely pray for China, pray for the entire world at this point. But, definitely China, because we don't know how bad it is. Everything that we're talking about, it's either, a grainy video that's been smuggled out, or, we're looking at, say, that sulfur dioxide cloud that was all over the country. I mean, that seems like a no-brainer right there. Did you see those images showing the overgrowth of the gas, which is from crematoriums and stuff like that?
Yeah, the problem with China is that there is a very large portion of the military right now that is firmly in the control of the deep state of the cabal and works with them very closely. However, there's also another portion of the government, along with President Z, that is trying to work with the alliance as well.
Really?
And so we've got this. There's a giant schism, and China's massive. I mean, it's just massive. And so you've got this schizophrenic kind of thing going on, where a portion of China is just incredibly vicious. Is just vicious against its own people.
Right.
And so you'll see things like what you just talked about, the crematoriums, and people who are just rounded up in these white vans that Edge of Wonder was just talking about. And you'll see terrible things. And there's a certain amount of, I think, control that Z has over that, but some of it he doesn't. Some of it he doesn't control.
I would imagine. I mean, just by virtue of the size of the country, I mean, there's only so much that he can, directly oversee. Right. He's got to delegate. The best managers delegate. Another thing I want to direct everybody's attention to, do you guys remember one of my early videos, that confidential tip on LA Mill Special Operations, when the choppers went through downtown Los Angeles, and there was that package that was removed from the Guatemalan House of Culture. Said at the time we didn't know what it was, but we know that it is either like some type of nuclear device or biological weapon. And now that we're here in this situation, it's making me think even more that it was a biological weapon, because we had people in those biohazard suits. They were carrying that stuff out. So I'm trying to get to the point at which I was talking about this in the video, and maybe we can play that little clip of the helicopters going down the street. I'm actually working on an update to this video, you guys, because there was a lot of good information in there. So here we go. Let's check that out.
Is that the one where one of the helicopters looked to be invisible, looked like it went invisible for a moment?
I think that was definitely it. Yeah. There it goes, just going right down the streets in Los Angeles. And let me see if I can get those guys coming out of the Guatemalan House of Culture. They are coming down Wilshire Boulevard, I believe. Right there, that building with that outcropping up top, that's the Guatemalan House of Culture. Now, right directly across from them is the law. Oh, shoot. Sorry, guys. Oh, okay, it didn't work. I need to set it up on my computer. Let me see. Offices of. Let me do this. Let me do this real quick. We'll just go right here to center screen. And actually, this is the spot right here, guys. This is where they're coming out of the building. The helicopter's coming down, and they touch down. And then we have all these guys in what appear to be hazmat suits, white hazmat suits, running out, and they are carrying some type of package. There we go, right there. Oh, yeah, you're not going to be able to see it, John. Sorry, buddy. So someplace else in the video, I have it isolated. I have an image of it isolated, but sorry for the.
Saying they're not seeing it.
Oh, they're on a delay. They're on a delay, so they'll be seeing it in just a moment.
Method said red fail 78.
Sorry, guys. Yes, Holotech R&D says, choppers picked up top Luciferians. Smarty, I can answer a bunch of your questions from brothers, and it will be validated. Oh, all right. Well, that's awesome. Well, Smarty, that would be great if you would help out with some additional information for the follow-up on that. Yeah, that's an old video. That's right. This is from like a year ago, February 11th of 2019, I believe it was. So, yeah, that was a while ago. But my point was, perhaps there was meant to be an event that took place way back then, and we were able to thwart it. And now what we're seeing is the successful completion of their op, which they were trying to, they set off an explosive device upon leaving. Yes, they did. Yeah. Later on in that video, I have images of the blown out windows. And, you know, if you guys want to check out that video, I don't know if you've been following me for that long, everybody here, but I'll go ahead and drop the link here and you guys can go check that out if you want. But this is from over a year ago. And this was like a pretty big video at the time. It's almost got 500,000 views. That was really cool. It was definitely my biggest video, one of my biggest videos ever. So very, very interesting. Yep, helicopter crash in NYC. That was another one. There was like a whole series of helicopter videos I got to do right around that time. It was fun. Super Sill, welcome to being a supporter of the channel. Appreciate that. And let me see. Also, Jack, that's right. Thank you for that information, Jack. Well, we got about 10 minutes before we start bringing in other people on the calls. One more thing that I wanted to ask. Have you seen that book by Dean Koontz? And what I'll do here, John, is I will throw the same link that I'm looking at into our chat on Zoom. So then you can pull it up and then you can see what the audience is seeing. So there was this book that was published back in 1981 by a guy named Dean Koontz. He's like a thriller writer.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I was, honey, trying to get views. There's enough views on that video. I just thought in case people wanted to see it because they didn't know what I was talking about. So Dean Koontz wrote about this situation that we're in right now. He called it the Wuhan 400. And it says they called the stuff Wuhan 400 because it was developed at their R&D labs outside the city of Wuhan, where back then, at the time you wrote this, there was not a level 4 biolab, but there is now, clearly. So eerily similar prediction here. And we know that the cabal likes to plan these things many, many years in advance. We know that they like to put it out. And they insert it into popular culture like this, so when it happens in the real world, you can't just go search for it to find this information. It always gets confused with the fictional events. What do you think about that?
Well, also I was watching an episode of The Simpsons that I think they literally talked about the Wu flu, and they showed the flu chasing people down as these little red dot microbes that were in a swarm in a cloud, that were chasing after people and then going into their mouths and their eyes and their ears and getting them infected. And it was spreading everywhere. And it was an extraordinary thing. And the parallels were incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, amazing. Almost as close as to what's happening, almost as close as when The Simpsons predicted Trump coming down the staircase.
That was very eerie.
Simpsons like that.
They are so good for that stuff. They constantly take this stuff and insert it into popular culture through The Simpsons. Very strange. And then even more than the Dean Koontz prediction, there was another prediction in a book by a woman named Sylvia Browne. Now, Sylvia Browne was, somebody who got predictions of the future, prophesized certain things taking place. But she said back in 2020 that she predicted that in 2020 a severe pneumonia-like illness would spread throughout the globe, attacking the lungs and the bronchial tubes and resisting all known treatments. Almost more baffling than the illness itself will be the fact that it will suddenly vanish as soon as it arrived, but then attack again 10 years later and completely disappear.
Wow.
But
That's amazing.
She's had a lot of predictions. You said before the show that even a broken clock.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day. And if you make 10,000 predictions, I mean, of course, a couple are going to hit.
A Nostradamus, she is not. No.
If you want to see somebody whose powers are realized, I suggest you check out the Psychic Twins, the Thai Psychic Twins.
Who are they?
They are a pair of ladies who have extraordinary powers, and I actually did a television show with them, and their abilities are beyond question. They predicted the Boston bombing, Boston Marathon bombing, and also they predicted the World Trade Center events as well. And they did that on like Coast to Coast AM, and on a couple of other important shows and publicly. So I mean, their stuff is absolutely beyond question, and they're very good, very, very good.
I'm going to look into them. Gaffer Anon says, spoiler alert, the Illuminati aren't that smart. They worship dark entities. White hats have God on their side. Dark to light, God wins in the end. Trust the plan. Exactly my point. You know, everything that's taking place is according to God's plan. Nothing happens that isn't. And I want people to know that, you know, you got to be prepared, but that doesn't mean that you have to be paralyzed by fear. You know, I mean, think logically about this stuff. Trump on borders, pools closed, AK selective. This is also an excellent reason to close the borders too, and to stop the influx of anybody at all. Yeah. And I'm not adverse to that. I think that that would be go ahead and do that. That'd be fine. Neo also joined as a member. Thank you very much, Neo. And Hey Jude says, I've read every book by Kuntz. He always includes a government conspiracy. Well, there you go.
That's because they're real.
Yes, yeah, they are.
Kuntz was the best.
I used to read a lot of Dean Kuntz when I was a kid. I read that and Stephen King, and it seemed like there's a distinct difference in their writing styles. You know, Dean Kuntz is more brutal, I thought. Yeah, a little bit darker. Wendy Vetter, thank you for the super chat. How's it going? It's going good. Well, before we get into the call-in section, you guys, I just wanted to show you real quick John's website right here. If you want, you have the ability to check out what events he's going to be coming up from, you know, where he's going, maybe some other interviews that he's done, some interesting stories. Do you have any events coming up in the near future, John?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to Contact in the Desert, May 29th to June 1st. That's going to be a big one. That's the biggest venue in the world for alternative information and consciousness studies and all that. Yeah, I'll be going to and in September, I'll be doing Experience 2020 in Florianopolis, Brazil.
Ooh.
September 19th to the 21st. And that's with Corey Good as well. And that's going to be wild. And then I'm going in October. I've got Disclosure Con in Pine Top, Arizona, October 3rd and 4th. And I've got a whole bunch between now and then. I have a whole bunch of webinars that are going to be coming up that I do with Dr. Michael Sala and Laura Eisenhower. Laura Eisenhower. She was actually just at the White House.
Right, I saw that.
With the entire Eisenhower clan, and she asked me if I had any messages for the Maestro. And so I passed the message through her.
Oh, that's so cool.
So that's really good. And I love Laura Eisenhower. She's great, and always encourage people to look at her stuff.
I would love to interview her. I've known about her for years, so that would be very, very interesting. We also have George, a.k.a. Jorge Mouse James. Thank you very much for the super chat. And Thong Chaser. That's a good name. I like that. Can you tell me the name of those twins so that I can look them up? Do you remember their names?
Yes. Yeah, I have them. I have them all over my stuff. I will on my Twitter. I invite people to please check out my Twitter. You can see the psychic twins on there.
Okay.
Also on my Facebook. I invite people to always check out my Facebook and check out my material on my stuff and my Instagram and my let me see.
I will throw John's Twitter and website into the super chat, you guys. Into the chat box. Here is the link to his website, so you can go ahead and check that out. And then, John, if you want to drop the link to your Facebook, I don't have Facebook, so I never pull it up. But here is that.
Oh,
there we go.
And since we're doing that right now, I wanted to say to everyone who is listening to me, on my website, I have 20% off on all of my books at johntamaBooks.com. 20% on all my books using code REDPILL. Code REDPILL.
Awesome.
And you just put that in there, and you will get it. And so that's pretty awesome.
Use code REDPILL. That's awesome. Thank you very much for that, John. So yeah, you guys, if you want to get into John's books, I would say that I did see that you can purchase it either directly through him or directly through Amazon. But personally, I always like to buy directly from the artist or the author, because that is a better chunk of the proceeds that go to them. Let's take a look at Pkwy Post 713. White Hat pulled this up earlier. We were talking about it. Seals are wonderful creatures. This was on February 10th, 2018. This is the day before, or excuse me, just about 1 year before I made that video. Heard they work fast at capturing their prey, and then prey all in capital letters. Silence is golden. Corona offline. DEAC, deactivate. I always thought it said games are fun. So I think that we know that there are double meanings to a lot of different things. I had always assumed that this post was about the Corona satellite that went offline, which would have been a series of spy caps lock, yeah. A series of spy satellites owned by the Cabal that were previously being used. But right here, you know, this could be it. Now, there's another post having to do with Evergreen that I did want to show everybody, and here we go. This is from White Hat. We're going to go ahead and switch to that very briefly. He says nursing homes don't just get random outbreaks of viruses that originate overseas. This is really fishy. Now, Chloe Salsameda says health officials are investigating a possible C virus outbreak at Life Care Center of Kirkland in Washington State after several residents and staff reported having problems. Now, that's what I was saying that my girlfriend and I were discussing, and she said that they don't, you know, that's just not something that's going to happen. You're not going to just have that pop up there. So it looks fishy. But we've got these two posts here, which include a post from our favorite Anon. There was, when POTUS tweeted about the C virus, he used a capital V in virus. And then we have that post from February 12th, define Evergreen, HRC, U.S. secret codename, non-standard deviation, think depopulation, the silent war continues. Now, this holds up if you think that the C virus is about depopulation, or it could be that, you know, they want us to believe that that is what's happening with this. Or not that the White Hats want us to believe, but as you stated, it wants to cause fear in our hearts from the Black Hats. So the first death from the C virus is at Evergreen, Evergreen Health in Washington State. So very interesting that we were just pointed to Evergreen, and now we've got the first person to pass right there. Yes, I am going to drop the number, Wheezy Girl. Thank you very much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the New York call-in number first. So you guys get ready to copy that number. That's the number you call if you're on the East Coast. Now I'm going to drop the number that you call if you're on the West Coast. There you go. And now I'm going to drop the meeting ID. And the meeting ID is also on screen, as well as the number to call in. It's on screen both. Oh, and then Hey Jude says Homer Simpson's package address is from Evergreen Boulevard in China.
Whoa.
Oh, my goodness.
That is too much.
Wow. Hey Jude, that is amazing. That is amazing. Here's the other thing. If we're talking about, you know, possibilities here. President Trump having access to looking glass technology, very, very comfy about the situation, telling us that we've got nothing to worry about, and even giving us a timeline as to when it's going to disappear. You know, that's just something to consider right there. Now, next, you guys, is coming the link for Zoom if you are going to be calling in from the application and not your phone. Okay. So there you go. You guys should have all of the information that you need. Let's see. The Jameson twins. Twins. Okay.
Terry, I believe they're Terry and Lynn Jameson.
Terry and Lynn Jameson. Okay.
Now,
excellent.
Now, I have to tell you, though, after they predicted the 9/11 terrorist attacks and the Boston bombing, they were attacked by Intel. There's this Intel structure of all these cutouts that they go around doing the bidding of the cabal, and they will go out and harass and go after anyone who does things to interfere with the machinations. Anyway, they were terrorized after that, and so they were terrorized completely. And if you hear them tell the story, it's heartbreaking. it's heartbreaking, but they were attacked on a global scale
Sure.
after they did these predictions. And they said, and they even said that the actors who were doing this were not, it was not the federal government. It was some other actors that were
like
at
an
a higher
NGO
level.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so because of that, they actually left the business of doing serious predictions about terrorists to try to save people's lives.
Yeah.
And now they just do gossip predictions, gossip, celebrity, gossip, celebrity predictions, and that's what they do because they feel safe,
right?
And they don't feel like their lives are in jeopardy.
Absolutely,
so,
I can see that.
Amazing story.
So JJ Jedi says, Red Pill, do you think the full D class will be soon? I have no money for Super Chat, but I pay in love, and I see all the hearts. Thank you, JJ. Do I think it's going to be soon? I think yes, because we just had the nomination of Ratcliffe for DNI. Now, the DNI was the last thing standing in the way of all of that D class taking place. As soon as Ratcliffe comes in, the docs go out, and we have full D class. Bert says, Q not commenting on this directly is concerning me. It seems more likely every day that this is a bioweapon. Here's what I think. I think Q comments on things that we need to be talking about. I haven't talked about this much on purpose because, there's not a lot of verifiable information. I think that it is not the end game that a lot of people are thinking it is. I can understand why people are upset, why they're concerned, but I think that if this was something that we needed to specifically be looking at and spending a lot of time on, then our favorite Anon would have brought it up. So I think that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing.
Exactly right.
But I still do believe that it is engineered. I think that goes without saying. And then Holotech R&D again says, free frequencies healing and Holotech Biz, the first free image will neutralize all viruses, diseases, etc. John DeSouza can validate my work. It works exactly like I say it does. Charge water, Smarty. All right, well, Smarty, call in and we'll talk about it. Gamester X says, quite frankly, live tonight in an hour. That's quite frankly is going to be on at 11. And then Dana Finkler says, please drop the link. Only thing that works. Definitely dropped it already. Event 201, that was the what do they call it? The exercise that they were doing just before the time that this hit on the global stage. And then Holotech R&D again says, Evergreen is the company making the chemtrails. Yep, we've definitely talked about that here before too. And that's what I talked about when we talked about that post previously. But again, I think that things can have multiple meanings. All right, let's go ahead and bring in our first caller, and it is the good friend of the program, Dana Finkler. Dana, you're on the air, and I love that picture of Buzz Aldrin. Have you ever met Buzz Aldrin, John?
No, and he did not punch me in the face either. So.
Whoa,
yeah.
Cat.
I got you with that one, huh? Yeah, no, I have not met him, but he is a wild character. He is a very interesting guy, and he is somebody that I think the cabal loves him because as wild and crazy as he acts sometimes, he can keep a secret.
Oh, of course.
All right. Hey, man.
Hey, Dana, what's going on, buddy?
Sorry, just literally just
what's going on?
YouTube that.
Hey, you got to mute the stream. I'm muting you until you mute the stream. Go ahead and get it done. It looks like Hey Jude sent me a video of the Simpsons tech. Somebody else had sent it to me earlier, and I watched it, and then, oh my God, it's here. It's Evergreen Terrace in Springfield. See, can you guys see that?
Wow.
I don't think it's going to zoom in.
Evergreen Terrace, Springfield, USA.
But it's definitely coming from China. Okay.
Wow.
And she says, Evergreen was Homer's address. I sent yes, Hey Jude, thank you for that. I got it. Dan, are you there?
Yeah, real quick. So Red Pill vouch. I'm the guy that made you laugh so hard about Big Mike last time.
Yeah.
We got
He's the guy that said the stuff about Big Mike last time.
And he got you laughing.
The best segment, okay. The best. I clipped that out and I put it on my backup channel. It's got a lot of views.
Yeah, we haven't. We'll have to talk about Big Mike in a little bit too. because I think that plan is proceeding perfectly.
Oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. But
Yeah.
so Dana, what do you think? Do you think that Big Mike is gonna hit the national stage? You think she's gonna take over for the race for president, or be a vice presidential candidate?
I get all that, but I have a chance to ask an FBI agent what he knows. What the fuck is going
Dana,
on?
don't swear, dude.
Oh my goodness.
What's going on with Antarctica, man? What's up with that?
What's going on with what?
I missed the word.
Antarctica.
Antarctica.
Oh, Antarctica's gone totally quiet, dude.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. Because I mean, there's been
I don't
nothing.
care about anything but that. I really don't.
You don't care about anything but Antarctica. Yeah, so, I mean, you said that Antarctica's gone dark, and that's actually the same thing that I've run into. I wanted to put together some new information for a show on Antarctica, and I haven't found anything that hasn't been published, for a couple of years now. Linda Moulton Howe is the only person that I've seen out there really talking about Antarctica. There's another guy, Florida Maquis, and he does, like, Google Map videos, or Google Earth videos, looking at, images from satellite images, but I don't feel like you can trust those because,
Right.
I mean, they've obviously been, edited and airbrushed and stuff like that. But
Right.
you got any insight?
But let me tell Dana this. The way that you know that everything's gone dark with Antarctica is that Putin actually said last year that he was going to go and visit Antarctica. He just made that statement without a lot of context.
Yeah.
And it was at the time that this whole John Kerry thing and everything else was going on. So it was crazy. And so everybody was going nuts because everyone was saying, well, if Putin's going to go and visit Antarctica, then that means Trump is going to go and visit Antarctica himself too. So it was going nuts, like around last November, around that time, September, and then suddenly nothing. Putin never actually went through with his visit, because if he had done his visit from one of the major superpowers
What's going on
in the world, it would have made everything break loose, and then that would have made Trump also have to go and visit as well. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen, and now everything's gone dark on Antarctica, which makes me think. Except the other day, who was it? Somebody said, "Oh, the Secretary of State Pompeo." He actually. Oh, and Dana may know about this. If not, Dana, you got to look this up. Pompeo, a couple of days ago, I think like yesterday, he made a statement that he was talking about the interference of Obama officials with current policy and how they go and they meet with foreign leaders, and they're violating a special law that they could actually get in huge trouble for. And then Pompeo, for some reason, he said, and you even had, and he said it as a joke. It looked like it was a joke because he was smiling at the time. He said, and John Kerry even went and visited Antarctica as well while he was visiting all these other. He went to visit. I'll just leave it to you. Who was he consulting? And he actually said the words.
Pompeo said that?
Yeah. He said,
wow.
Who was Kerry consulting with over there? And then he laughed, and the reporters all laughed.
That is very interesting.
It was presented as a joke. So, Dana, you got to look up that statement and see what you think about that.
Yeah, we just lost Dana. I don't know. He bounced off the line. But Dana, thanks for your call, buddy. Okay, that is very interesting stuff. That will go in there. Frankie Boy Q asked if Putin was a good guy or a bad guy. I think that Putin is a patriot. He's a Russian patriot, okay? He's interested in putting forward the best interests of the people of his country, of Russia. So in the same way that President Trump is a good guy, he's an American patriot, I think Putin is the exact same thing. I don't think that Putin wants to be in a position of armed standoff all the time. I mean, I think that he would like to be able to help his people survive and to be in a peaceful state of national affairs with the United States and others.
Well, also Putin is the single national leader who is the most hated by the cabal and the cabal forces.
Yeah.
And the reason is an obvious one. It's because Putin was the first national leader that absolutely prohibited central banks, the Rothschild banks, from coming into Russia and establishing a foothold in there. And he has kept them out no matter what threats, no matter what attacks they have done on him. And that's why he's the single most hated figure by the globalists.
Absolutely.
That's why he's on our side.
All right. So Jack Attack says the show is off the chain tonight. Thank you. Awesome. Thanks for being here. McB says the creator of The Simpsons, Matt Groening, allegedly received a foot massage from a very young individual while traveling aboard Jeffrey's plane. Yes, I had heard that as well. I heard that his feet were disgusting.
Oh my goodness.
That girl made a public statement about it. Michael says secrets in Antarctica. Dr. Michael Sala, very real. That's another person I would love to interview. I don't know how to get a hold of him though.
I can get him for you. I'm doing stuff with Michael next month.
Oh my gosh, I would be eternally grateful if you were to help me make that connection.
He's wonderful. He's amazing, and he's just brilliant.
Yes,
he
is
brilliant, off the chart.
Texas Hula Bear says, Red Pill Kitty Food Super Chat. Thank you very much for that, Texas Hula Bear. Red Pill Doc says, check out U.S. Colin O'Brady, who did a record crossing of Antarctica, but the globalists are criticizing his accomplishment. Okay, Colin O'Brady. I'll check that out. And then Hey Jude says, Pompeo at CPAC yesterday. And George, a.k.a. Jorge Mouse James, for the Super Chat. Thank you very much, George, a.k.a. Jorge. All right, coming up next is Andrea McKinney. Andrea, you're on the air. We'll need to have you add your microphone and make sure your chat is your stream. It is. Okay.
Okay, let me turn down my TV.
Yes, thank you.
She is. I can do the thing. Red Pill, I've got it here. Caller, please mute the live stream in the background. Caller, please appear on the screen. Caller, please unmute yourself.
I'm
Caller,
here.
Please close the door to the room where your dog is barking.
I don't have a dog.
Okay, I think that's it. I think that's
Andrea,
everything.
how are you?
I'm great. Hey, I wanted to call in and share something about CB that happened 2 days ago.
Okay.
Del Bigtree, who is an advocate for vaccine injured people, makes movies, has a Facebook page. He did a live 2 days ago about CB, and at the end he did his own theory about this based on his resources. And he said that December 1st, China had mandatory vaccines implemented. December 10th, the G5 went on in Wuhan, which I think we've talked about that.
Yep.
And his whole theory is that after SARS, they created a vaccine that they thought would fight SARS. And when they tested it, they found that it affected the lungs and destroyed the organs in the body. So they said, no, you can't use that vaccine. So his theory is, did they implement, and here was the second part of that. It only did that when it came into contact with CB.
Yes.
Maybe you heard that story. So anyway,
I've kind of been putting together a working theory along the lines with what you're saying, but this is the first I've heard about the mandatory vaccination. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, that's what he said. So what happened there is, what he thinks happened is they did the mandatory vaccines and then they released the bioweapon. Mm-hmm. And because these individuals had the vaccine, that's why their organs were destroyed and they were dropping like flies. But the interesting part is within about 2 hours of him doing that, Facebook scrubbed it.
Wow.
You couldn't find it. I sent it out to everybody I knew and Facebook scrubbed it. So then I still had people wanting to know what I was talking about. And so I looked up his website, which I'd never been to, but it was very easy to find. And I said, well, go to his website. He's got it on there. Well, this morning I went to go to his website to share it with somebody else. You can't find his website.
Oh, wow.
So
Deplatformed. Now, you mentioned one of the things, the activation of 5G. Wuhan is, I guess, the first city in the world that had complete blanket 5G coverage, and so I've seen people speculating. Is this a biological, a viral phenomenon, or is it purely from the millimeter waves? And I tend to think that it's complicated by the millimeter waves, that the uptake of oxygen is impaired by your body being just shredded by this frequency, and that's very interesting to think that it had something to do with their mandatory vaccinations too. I can completely see that. John, what do you think about it?
I think that's pretty. I think I wanted to tell Andrea that I believe. Talk about working theories. I am starting to believe that we are all vaccine injured people, no matter how healthy we may appear, because this has been a widespread preparation of the population for a very long time, not just for these viral attacks that are being placed on the population, but just for our condition of health overall. This vaccines have been a very careful plan by the cabal and by their minions in the pharmaceutical industry, which now has almost all the money. I mean, they're like $1 trillion industry, and they have generations of our older people hostage, and we have got to break them free. We've got to rescue these people, these generations of elderly people who are hostages to this industry. And the vaccines are attacks against our youngest people, and we need to get together on that and fight this fight. Andrea, you're right.
Yeah, I've been studying vaccines for about 6 years now, and
are you a health professional?
No, I'm not. I'm a health minor. So my theory on it is it's a genocide program. But, they're targeting our children with like 50 vaccines by the age of 6. Right. And then they're targeting pregnant women now. Like I was pregnant when the swine flu vaccine came through. I refused to take it. And everybody in town you weren't even born, Red Pill. Everybody in town was lining up to get this shot. And I wouldn't do it because I didn't believe in socialized medicine. And I was also pregnant. So I refused to get it. But, now they're targeting our old people, and they're targeting our children pre-having babies, like our young girls and boys with that HPV vaccine, which is either sterilizing them or killing them, one or the other. So
scary stuff.
That was a theory of Dell's, and it appears he had some merit to it because they just stripped him right off the internet.
Well, if his website comes back online, or if you can find any more information, would you do me a favor and email me about it? redpill78@protonmail.com.
Yes.
All right. Andrea, thank you for a call. I appreciate your insight.
Yep. Bye-bye.
We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Andrea.
All right. Awesome. Good calls so far, you guys. Let's see. Coming up next, Big Man Carl Sorrells.
Uh-oh.
Look at all those babies.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
How's it going?
Oh, my God. Carl, that's. I hope you have a king-size bed, dude. Because
yes,
yeah.
I do. They pushed me off the bed, so.
It's a kennel.
But everybody said they wanted to see the babies.
Good. I love seeing those dogs. Muffin and Chi-Chi, at night, like usually Chi-Chi will lay against me up here, and then Muffin will lay in like the crook of my knee, or maybe against my stomach. It depends on where everybody else is. But that is so cute, Carl. Look at these dogs. I just imagine how silky their fur is. They are so beautiful.
Thank you so much. Well, these guys have been on an all natural diet. Almost a vegetarian diet, but they get lots of meat and peanut butter. They get peanut butter in the morning, peanut butter banana milkshakes in the morning. And so
what a life those dogs have.
Yes.
They're better than humans.
Here's what's crazy is they're 7 months old and they're larger than their mother.
Wow. And they're excellently behaved dogs for only being 7 months. So that's a testament to the discipline you've instilled them with.
Oh, it's just love, not much discipline.
What's this breed? Is this Dobermans?
Yeah.
Yes, these are Doberman pinchers.
Okay.
I just refuse to do their ears because it's more of a cosmetic for
Yeah.
our pride than
Right.
it is healthy for the animal.
I like
Tails.
them with the ears like that. They're cute that way.
The dock tails is a must with these guys. I wouldn't have any furniture or TVs or anything. When they get happy, that tail just goes 90 miles an hour. Hi, sweetheart.
Wow.
Super
So
cute.
this is Silver. This is Evangeline flipping over on the back. This is
Nice.
Popcorn Colonel. So I got Major and Colonel. This is Colonel. Major is in the green collar,
Okay.
laying right here. And now I am looking for them.
I see this and I just think about the movie The Boys in Brazil. The Boys from Brazil.
Never
If you
seen it.
guys-
Never
I
seen
know,
it.
Red Pill, you're too
hi.
young to remember that.
Oh, I
Like
forgot
the
to say
lady
hi,
said.
John, and hi, Red Pill.
Hi there.
What's up,
Hi there,
Carl?
man.
All right. So, hey, knock it off. So I did uncover talking about sci-fi stuff. Evangeline, behave, young lady. And Evangeline actually has a new family to go to on Tuesday.
Okay.
Will you quit growling?
So he is selling.
Will you quit growling? But anyway, there was a story in Arkansas about this truck driver. He was on the radio talking to his wife going down the highway in a semi. And while they were talking, the communications got interrupted. 2 minutes later, he found himself on a hill going the opposite direction, about 10 to 15 miles away, where there were no roads.
So he was just driving on pitch, on grass?
No, he was driving down the interstate.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And he saw a light come down over a field, and the next thing he remembers is staring into darkness, and his truck was at a slow roll, and anyway, there were no roads anywhere near him. Hey, knock it off. They dropped him off in a field. They teleported him and his truck
Right.
and dropped him off. Knock it off. Oh my goodness. Here, you just want something to keep you happy. Anyway, so that kind of went with my story that I told.
Yes.
And I just thought I would share. There you go, you big baby.
That's very interesting. John, any interesting stories of teleportation by extra-dimensional beings?
No, but I do in my book, Extra Dimensionals. I always talk about those stories. That precise story from Carl
Silver.
happened to my
Yeah.
happened to my dad. As a matter of fact, for a short time,
Really?
he was a long haul trucker, and he was driving one of the most desolate stretches around here, Interstate 15 between Utah and Las Vegas.
Yeah.
And it is desolate. And as he was driving like an 18-wheeler. And as he was driving, this giant thing came over his truck, and he said it was a transparent skin on the outside, glowing yellow light and clockworks on the inside.
Wow.
But the thing was the size of like two 747s. It was huge, immense. His truck was a speck underneath it, and it came and flew right over his truck and trailed him for several unnerving minutes. And he was very, very frightened by the thing. And then, and the thing was glowing bright yellow. I mean, it lit up everything, bright yellow. And it appeared to be sort of like something between a ship and a squid. And it was very unnerving. And you could see some kind of clockworks on the inside of it. And then it shut off to the right. It shut off to the right into the desert, into the high desert. And it just kind of disappeared it looked like it disappeared into the ground.
Wow.
And then my dad did something he never thought he would do. He actually drove the truck. This is very, very dangerous. He drove the 18-wheeler off into the high desert to try to see if there was like a door or a portal or something that this thing disappeared into.
Wow.
He just drove a couple of miles. He drove a mile where it went to, and he couldn't see anything. And then he just said, okay, I got to stop doing this. And he went back to the road with his truck. And it was an amazing, amazing experience
Wow.
that he had.
That's
And,
crazy.
That is crazy.
yeah.
They launched my mouse, by the way.
All right, awesome, Carl. Well, any follow up for John on that?
No, I was, I was going to ask you, with all this disclosure that we've been involved, that you've been involved with, what is your favorite? What is your favorite? Either something that you were able to disclose or something that you heard that you would love to see in real life.
That I would love to see in real life, like something positive related to disclosure, or something really good. Is I would love to, the main thing I would love to see is the thing that we've gotten some data on, where we have supposedly there's alien tech that has been given over, and I think unfortunately the cabal has this, but it's a healing chamber,
Right.
healing chamber
Yep.
that is just basically, it's just a human-sized bubble that you can go into and heal any disease, any condition, any imperfection whatsoever.
Knock it off, you big
Was
thing.
waiting for that to happen.
Boys from Brazil. I'll send the movie to you.
Okay.
78
Boys from
days.
Brazil.
Boys from Brazil.
That's awesome.
That's what they remind me of when they snarl like that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you remember the movie?
It's all vocals. They will sit here and make the craziest noises. Teeth. Oh, and every one of these guys know how to smile. So
That's cute.
if they want
Nice.
something, they'll sit there and snicker and smile. Hi, sweetie.
Nice.
Yelling at you. Yeah. Oh, he hurt your feelings, huh?
All
And I
right.
think those chambers are called the crystalline chambers, something along those lines. And
Yeah,
that is what I would like to see in
They
real life.
disclosed
someday.
those in Stargate.
Wow.
In Stargate SG-1.
That's actually a super chat that somebody wanted to ask about that. All right. Well, Carl, thanks for your call, buddy. I appreciate it. Give those dogs a hug for me.
Oh, big hug, big hug.
All right.
There you go.
Nice.
We'll see
All
you,
right,
brother.
love you guys. Good to
Love
see
you
you
too,
again,
brother.
John.
Nice. Thanks, man.
Peace.
Take care.
Let's see. BHEC1216 says you should have Corey Lynn on to talk about her book. Surprise, surprise. Corey Lynn from Corey's Digs is going to be on the show in just a couple of weeks, so stay tuned.
Nice.
Brittany Taylor says nature and common sense go hand in hand with morals and health, till in disbelief at how many people fall victim to pharmaceuticals. I would actually say that is completely correct. Daniel Turgeon says where we go one, we go all. Thank you, Daniel. Big Combe says Bill Gates ID 2020 Alliance RFID chips in vaccines. I've heard something about that they're, obviously we've heard for a long time that they're moving to chip people and that vaccines would be part of it. So here we go. Michael wants to know, what do you know about Project Stargate? I guess maybe I got that mixed up with the television show Stargate.
Just whatever Carl just told me about it.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about it.
Okay.
That's not something. That was a show on TV?
Yeah, Stargate. There was a movie, Stargate, with James Spader, having to do with aliens and extraterrestrials in ancient
I saw that
Egypt.
one.
Yeah, they
Oh,
made
I
it.
saw
They made a
that.
series of television shows about it, like Stargate SG-1, and I didn't watch the TV shows, but people used to tell me when I was younger that I looked like James Spader. I had long hair and a lot more of it
Ooh.
at that time.
Wow.
But
yeah, that's I'll tell people about that is this. Everything is portals and gateways.
Mhm.
Interstellar travel is not real.
like an
It's-
Einstein-Rosen bridge.
Yes, everything is portals. That's exactly why I wrote this book, The Extra Dimensionals. It is all about revealing the truth and the evidence that this is all portals and gateways, stargates, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
But this is transportation. This is transportation through wormholes by aliens, by us, by anybody who's involved with this sort of thing. And that's what I would say about that.
Good stuff. I need to say thank you to Tix for joining as a member, and Big Hair Tsunami. What's up, my dude? Appreciate that. And then I want to say hi to Gon's Guy and Gina's girl. What's going on, guys? Good to see you here. Let's see. Coming up next is our good friend Aaron, regular caller on the program. Aaron, what's going on, my friend?
Hey, what's up, Red Pill and John?
Hey,
Great show. Love your show so far.
Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Well, Corey Good has a lot of information on Antarctica. Supposedly he's been there.
Mm-hmm.
And Red Pill, did you see this? I sent you this a couple different ways. It's a drawing I did of that moment, that Q moment.
Oh,
that's
gosh.
nice.
Here,
That's
bring it up a
nice.
little bit. I can see the top, but like scale it. Dude,
Wow.
if you sent that to me already, I've got several hundred emails that I have a backlog of. So, if that's in my email, then I will get that to Jason, dude, and I'll let him know that you made it.
Twitter. It's also on your Twitter.
Oh, it is on Twitter? Okay, all right.
I think I've also got white version and I colored it. So.
Well, I love it. I absolutely love it. I will get it to Jason so he can see it, and I'll tweet it out after the show.
Okay.
Sweet.
I want to also invite John to my show, and Red Pill too. Yeah, I want you on my show too.
Yes.
Truth Quest. It's about stuff like this.
Nice.
That's awesome.
What else was I going to say? Vaccines. If we were meant to have toxic substances in our blood, we would have been born that way. It doesn't make any sense why we would have to pump our bodies full of toxic chemicals. It just doesn't make any sense. And
So true.
Project Looking Glass. Now, when Andrew Bisaggio was talking about time travel and teleportation, portal teleportation, he said they did it with kids because if an emergency happened and the president, whole family of the president, including the kids, needed to go somewhere, they needed to make sure these things would work for for every age. And so maybe Trump has this, so he can get like a 6-hour briefing, and then after the briefing, he could go to a minute after he joined the briefing. So it would be like
step back.
Missing time.
That's
Right.
why he's able to get 4 hours of sleep every night. 4
Yes.
hours on paper.
I don't think he gets that much.
No, he's getting a lot less nowadays,
He
I
can
think.
take a nap anytime he wants if he has this time.
Yeah, that would be incredible. Best invention ever. Just for time traveling for naps. I would take advantage of that. Very cool. Very, very cool. Any technology that you've heard about, John, similar to this stuff?
I just think, I think that what Basiago was talking about was actual time travel. And Looking Glass is something a little different. It's just, for those who don't know, it's just a window, a sort of window that you can actually examine the timeline that you're interested in all the way out, and you can actually see and predict and feel what happens. You can actually feel the emotions of the people involved in the scenario and see what is happening down a certain timeline and what you need to do to make that timeline happen. So Looking Glass is very important. It's a very important technology, but it is different from what Basiago was talking about, which was actual time travel.
Actually, the chronovisor might even be what Looking Glass is, and Bisaggio does talk about that. There's 8 different modalities of time travel he talks about, and the chronovisor was one developed by 2 Jesuit priests. They were studying Gregorian chants and how they can heal, and they're using state-of-the-art sound equipment for back then, and they accessed a past event. One of them heard his father say, "My little cucumber," or "My little zucchini," "My little zucchini," and his father had passed away. So they were accessing past sound. So they brought that to the Pentagon, and DARPA took it, and they worked it out into something you can see, a holographic image of past events. And Andrew said he saw a movie in Santa Fe, New Mexico, with his father and some other people in the project, of Christ being crucified.
I remember hearing that. Yeah.
He described his face, and it's very, very interesting. So, yeah. So the chronovisor might even be what the Looking Glass is. So
well, I would not put it past them to have developed multiple methods of looking, into the past and the future. I mean, you got to imagine, the black budget programs. I mean, they've got, obviously you got DARPA, but then how many other secret organizations within the government are also working on similar things, It reminds me of Philip Corso, Colonel Philip Corso, going and taking all these supposed technologies and then giving them to various companies and areas of the government. And, I can easily see them, taking one type of technology and giving it to two different groups and saying, what are you going to come up with? And then see, how many different ways they can capitalize on it.
And Aaron, Basiago said he traveled with Renegade. What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's interesting. Now, he didn't have any memory of the Mars jump rooms until he was approached by Brett Stillings, who was in the program with him. And once he started talking to Andrew, he regained his memory back. And Barry Soetoro, a.k.a. Barack Hussein Insane Obama, and Stanley Ann Dunham, his mother, or his CIA handler, even gave a talk to all the people in the program about racial divide and whatnot.
That sounds like
discrimination. So he remembers all of this very distinctively, and he saved Barack's life. He was in a pit, and they had to get out because some carnivorous animal was coming, and Andrew, I think, jumped down there and helped him out. Or reached in and helped him out.
Can we go back and stop that?
I was just going to say.
I didn't say anything about my little zucchini, so I had to say something here. I'm sorry, Aaron.
That's
sorry.
great. That's great.
Humor is the best. Humor is the best.
That's right. Awesome, Aaron. I still have not gotten the game, but I'm going to continue to keep watching the mail. It's got to be here soon, I would imagine.
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty well hidden.
It's coming from a different state. So, I mean, like what they do is they wait until I get several other pieces of mail, and then they send it all together. So
I'm based here in Door County, Wisconsin. I doxed myself before doxing was cool.
There you go. All right, brother. Thanks for your call, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye. All right. Awesome sauce. Let's see. Gaffer Anon says, Tom Dongo in Linda Bradshaw's book, Merging Dimensions, is a great read about portals in Sedona. Have you had James Gilliland from ECETI Ranch on the show? I just sent James an email very recently, and I am familiar with that book.
He's great.
Yeah, I was in Sedona recently, actually, over the summer. Tix, thank you very much for that. AK Selective and Bert have both joined as members. And Ozzy Osbourne says, new listener, what about Corona as a way to ban paper money and bring in electronic money? I thought that was very strange that they showed people in China boiling their money because they were so worried about the transmission of it, I mean, I could see that, as a reason, but I haven't come out and said, it's because of money, but that would kind of, perhaps explain away the fact that people are getting it without having any direct connection with people. I mean, if it's living on a porous surface, I mean, I've heard different things. I've heard recently 24 days, then, White Hat told me earlier today 14 days. So I don't know that they are very tight on that information.
The Simpsons episode predicted that when the big one comes, and I don't think it's going to be the Wu flu, but when the big one comes, they predicted that it was going to be Amazon packages put together in China coming to America was going to be what actually dispersed the lethal flu when it does come, and it was crazy.
That's crazy accurate. It's pretty crazy. Social Observer said, virus happened right after Kobe died in Corona, California.
What?
That is very true. True. Brittany Taylor says, sorry if this is old news, but did you guys see that COVID means Kobe in Hebrew? Mind blown. Even more. Wow.
Oh, no. This is too much.
I didn't know that. Thanks, Brittany. Bill Daly says, great show as always, RP. Keep the lights on and the fur family fed. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. All right, we're going to go to our next caller. Next, we've got Julia for Freedom. Julia, you are muted currently. If you want to make sure your stream is muted in the background.
Live stream, caller, please. Unmute yourself, please. Call us door.
And
please,
Julia,
on screen.
Are you there, Julia?
Caller.
I can't unmute you, Julia. So hopefully You are there.
Have you got me now?
I've got you now, Julia. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. How are you, Red Pill? Great to talk to you. Been a long time. I've been a viewer for a long time. So cheers and hi, John. How are you?
Hi there. Very good. We can't see your picture. We just see a big J.
Yes, I wasn't prepared, so I'm sitting here very unprepared, and being a female, I'm not
Just
running
put
to
on
a bathroom and doing my hair and missing out on you guys.
Put on a hat. Just put on a hat. You'll be fine.
Either way, Julia, I appreciate. Where are you calling from?
I'm from Australia.
I thought so. I didn't want to assume.
You can
though.
tell by the accent.
Yeah, I was clued in, But my friend Steve Outram, he's from Australia, but he lives in New Zealand, so his accent's a little mixed up, or kind of a mash of the two. So, but thank you. I'm glad that you're hanging out with us from Australia. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
I've been behind the scenes for quite some time. I've already had the message from above to start bringing myself out, so that's what I'm doing. But at the moment, I'll not bring myself out my header. I'll just sort of keep a bit of humour going here, mate. So.
Next time, that's fine. That's fine. Well, so what's on your mind, Julia? What are you thinking about, or do you have a question for John?
Look, there's probably unlimited questions. What I do have at the moment is something that personally has happened to me, and we're all on the ball with the virus and so forth, and we're actually even allowed to say these words now. So what I have found that has just recently happened to me, and I don't think it's a government conspiracy of any sort, I think it's actually a desperation from the people in China, is I just want to put a warning out for all patriots, to especially the ones who are preparing, because I am a person who is into preparedness. So of course I've purchased electronic equipment and so forth like that to be behind the scenes, to keep up with news when things drop off.
Sure.
Now, the problem is, unfortunately, Fraud Squad has to be involved, but we can't get anywhere near China, can we? My purchases that I have done with China, in the China area, say about 6 months ago, we've tracked it back so far. That was where this purchase has happened. They have now just come back in and raided my cards.
Really?
So, I'm just putting this out as an alert. I don't think it's a government thing. I think it's a desperation of the people needing money.
Sure.
I don't know, but it comes from an electronic company that I purchased things from, and I've traced it back as far as the last time that card was used was in October.
Okay.
Right.
And it was used to purchase something from that company in China?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So the moment we're still tracking what has come up on the bank statement, according to the withdrawal and all this sort of thing, spooked the heck out of me, I've got to say, because at one stage it was a $2.99, and I've just gone, I know where I've paid $2.99, and I freaked out, and then I followed it. So I love you guys, and we've tracked it to, it's an electronic company in China. And I really have to say, I'm not trying to scaremonger. I'm just trying to put the word out. If people are in preparedness or have been purchasing things, from that area using their cards,
yes,
that just be aware that, with their desperation, maybe they are reusing our cards to help themselves get themselves out of the problems that they're in. So
that's an excellent point. Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to ask so many questions. I know there's so many other people, but this was just an alert. I think so many people need to know, watch your cards, guys. I mean, it was just plain electronic equipment. It's come through. We've traced so far back in regards to what was on my bank statements. It's now coming up regarding electronic company in China. So,
all right. Do you want to name that company?
The best I can do is give you what was on my bank statement, which is shopvip360.com.
shopvip360.com. Okay, all right. Stay away from shopvip360.com, definitely.
Yeah, that's the best we can do at the moment. Unfortunately, being the situation, I don't see fraud squads, and it's not a big fraud situation. It's it's just, even if it's just a few $100 or a couple of $1,000, at the end of the day, I can't see much investigation being able to happen at this stage in China with these companies. So
Yeah.
I'm sort of expecting a dead end at this stage with it, but it's mainly getting an alert out, especially for people who are in the prepared moments where, 6 months ago, we've been doing a lot of purchases from different parts of the world to make sure that we're ready, especially being a place called Down Under. It takes a long time to get stuff down to us here. So, and apart from that, I just want to say I love you guys. I'm trying to spread the word harder here. Red pilling is hard, but the more information I get from you guys and the gentleness that seems to be the way that I've seemed to be able to open conversations with people. We've got all the, the sci-fi, and John, I love that because I do believe in so much stuff. And for some reason, this all resonates with me regarding, and I don't like sci-fi. I would rather use universal beings, because Jesus and God are still in here with us as well. So somehow this all blends together, and this full disclosure is just going to be brilliant. So
I'm waiting myself for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. So that's just my little hello for everybody now. You will see a bit more on my face, and I will let you know more as time progresses, because I'm trying to get more contact with Australian people. So, I mean, I hate to say it, but if they can shout out to me at Julia for Freedom on Twitter, we can form some other some more patriots together here in Australia, because where we go one, we go all. And America, you are leading the force there with President Trump. And we know once President Trump's in for 2020, there's so much more to deal with after this. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right.
So
well,
God
Julia,
bless you all, guys. Yep.
God bless you as well. Thanks for your call. I appreciate it.
Yep. Cheers. You have a great day, and I'm going to continue watching you now on the big screen.
All right. Good stuff.
Cool.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Red Pill.
Yep.
And thanks to all the moderators. You're doing an awesome job. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. All right. We'll see you, Julia. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Tony T, I saw you make a comment that you were third in line. You guys, when I answer the callers, I'm going from the top of the queue, and I thought that this... Oh, you're right here. You are third in line. We've got you right here. Tony. You guys, when I answer the calls, I'm taking whoever's at the top, and I thought that it was the order that people called in, that's how it showed up, because that's the way it looked to me. So if I'm skipping you, I just want you to know that I am not intentionally skipping you. I'm just taking the calls from the top of the queue. Tony, are you there? Tony? I saw her in the chat. Well, Tony, we'll wait for you to come onto the line, because I've got a couple super chats I got to go through. Let's see. AK Selective says, hey, sorry, got to go to bed for Gospel Band tomorrow. We'll try to call into the next live stream. SSP Survivor, and like how ETs call Corey Good Enoch. They call me by an auspicious name, too. I am back, LMFAO. Was on Mars the other night, but memory is blurry. Guess who's back? Many auspicious incarnations around me, too. Also plugging my music on my channel. Peace Music, Yeshua, back. All right, well, cool. And then once again, full disclosure will be brilliant. John and I are connected on Twitter and Facebook. Okay, awesome. You guys can continue the conversation. Tony, you're there.
I'm here. I'm so here.
I got so scared when I saw that chat sliding by, and then I looked in there. I thought maybe you were going to have hung up, so I'm glad that you didn't.
No, I've been on for quite a while, but that's fine. That's fine. I just want to let you know, Red Pill, I'm not Stephanie. I don't have a retail cat, and I may have had an adult beverage.
Okay. No problem.
And if anybody saw that before, I tell you, Stephanie, if you're watching, you need to call in. You've got a lot of fans.
Call in, Steph.
She was so cute. Hey, this is both for, I don't know, I would say both of you. I admire both of you. So here's the question. And I did put it in chat just in case I couldn't get through, because I haven't had anybody answer this question for me. If you were to make a man-made, of course, if you were to make man-made virus, wouldn't you want to also have a cure or some kind of protection for a chosen few?
Absolutely. But John, we were talking about this a little bit before the show. Yeah, what do you think about it?
Yeah, absolutely. You would want to have a cure already in the bag. unless the virus is targeted at a racial group that you are not. In other words, that the elites that created it are not that racial group. That's why this targeting of racial groups is absolutely perfect for what they want, because it will be most lethal against that particular group, and there'll be no bounce back to them. So that's how I see it.
Okay. So I think a lot of people have probably thought that through and just didn't think to ask that question. But that was on my mind. The next question, this is my follow-up. This is my last.
Okay.
If there were a way to, let's say, quote unquote, cure this or protect yourself from it, would you think that would be shut down, and by whom?
Well, I guess the question is, it depends on who holds the cure. If this is a black hat operation and they are the ones who hold the cure, I don't think that it's going to be made publicly available. But, if this is a white hat operation, and, I think that I think it would come out at a certain point, but I'm leaning pretty far away from this being a white hat operation. John, what do you think?
I think they're going to throw us right back into the vaccine situation, and that is not going to be for anyone's benefit. That's what I think. I mean, not for mine anyway. And I think that's what we're looking at. And so the vaccine situation is probably going to come about pretty quickly, and it's not going to be good. Not going to be good at all. That's what I think.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate both of you. Thank you.
Tony, thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye. Awesome sauce. All right, I think we're going to have time for at least one more caller. You guys, sorry, the dogs are freaking out. Somebody must be at the door. We've got Katie, Love by the Moon. We're going to get Katie and Chris in here, and then I think that's going to be all the time we have. But Katie, are you there? All right, she'll be here any second. Michael says stock market crash minus EMP minus invasion equals new tech. I'm okay with that. I'm okay if we get a whole new infusion of technology in order to protect us from these threats in the future. Hey Jude. Oh yeah, thank you, Hey Jude. And then Big Hair Tsunami says, John DeSouza, what is the best way to see your list of appearances? I would imagine that's going to be on your website, right?
Yeah, just go to my website, johntamabooks.com. JohnTamelBooks.com.
Big Hair Tsunami, I'm going to drop that link to John's website in the chat. And I also, did that even work? Yeah, there it is. Okay. Oh, and you guys, Ardoc is going to be on his new program directly after this stream at 11 o'clock. So go ahead, Katie.
Hey, how are you guys?
Hey, Katie.
I'm good. How about yourself?
I'm good. Tired, but good. Thank you. Excuse me. Okay. I'm not into the fear mongering either.
Good.
But I was doing some digging, and I just kind of, I guess, wanted to present this, to people that are watching and yourselves. I did a little digging, because we've all seen the FEMA liners,
sure,
and all UN, blah, 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 right? So, I found a little bit of tidbit of information. There was a patent created in April. It was April 12th, 2001 by Andrew and Nellie Brown. And what this patent is for mobile crematoriums. We're not talking like singular body. We're talking multiple body. And it hit me with, what's going on in the Hakioso situation. So, with this patent, and really, you guys need to look it up seriously, because they made it a priority. So it started in April of 2001. Its expiration date is February 29, 2020. Now, that is a U.S. patent. But when I was searching further, the actual manufacturer is the UK.
Very interesting. I think I found it. Yep, Andrew Brown and Nellie Brown. Here it is, a mobile crematorium. So yeah, I mean, if it was necessary, John, do you know anything about patent law? Would they gain something by having this become something that we would suddenly need to use?
Yeah, because of things I've seen a lot of people create patents for all kinds of stuff, A lot of times, they also do a lot of speculative stuff, and a lot of time the stuff doesn't have very much meaning. A lot of times, what they do is they do what's called IP squatting. IP squatting, which is that they just will create this patent for this thing, and then when China actually tries to create these mobile crematoriums that they need they'll say, oh no, you can't use this because we had the patent on it. Right. So because even though we never implemented it or put it into production, and so that's for that reason, I don't trust too much of what's under the patent database in the United States.
I got what you're saying, but here's where we need to dig a little deeper on this. I found the actual corporation that makes them.
That's something.
And it came back to the U.S. Listen, it's back in the U.S. now. Mm-hmm. So you've got US UK division. It is an actual company. God, I can't remember the name of it, but it's like close to Equinox 39 or something like that. Okay. But what caught my eye in this patent is it states global dossier. I'm like, whoa. Okay, that's not cool, but it's also attached to the U.S. So if you guys dig into this further, you will find the actual company. You can see the models. It explains every single model you can buy. And, I mean, it's whatever, but we've seen the aerial fires going on over there in China. So, it just might be something that people might want to look into. I just personally don't trust them. I have my own theory, and I don't think it's very good for the Chinese people.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely something nefarious going on, no matter how you cut it. Well, Katie, listen, we are at the top of the hour, so I do appreciate your call. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks, sir. Take care.
We'll talk to you
Thanks,
soon.
Katie.
Okay. I need to say thank you to everybody who came out and hung out with us tonight. We had 3,500 of our best friends at the end of the hour. Social Observer says, thoughts on Elon Musk and the Starlink project. John, we're going to save that one for a big answer, but do you have any quick thoughts?
Elon Musk is, I think he's an alien, and he's reveals a lot of alien stuff every time he opens his mouth. So we got to listen and, just very carefully to everything that he says.
Okay. All right. Thank you, John. And then Holotech R&D says, I'm in the Q717 if you got time. So unfortunately, Smarty, we do not, because we have to get over to watch Ardok on Table of Titans, or I guess, I'm sorry, I don't know what his new show is called, but it's Ardok's live stream on Saturday nights at 11 p.m. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, John DeSouza, once again for joining us. An excellent conversation. Man. Thank you to all the callers, and I do apologize to people who didn't get a chance to come on the show. But as always, this has been Red Pill 78. I am the Corruption Detector. And this was your Red Pill News for Saturday night live stream. Good luck, everyone, and God bless.
God bless us all.